You know that feeling when you drive past a favorite local farm, the one with the great view, the amazing produce, the one that just feels like a part of your town's character? Ever wonder what would happen if it just disappeared? Well, today we're going to explain how to build a legal fortress to make sure that never, ever happens.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Is your local farmland truly safe? I mean, really safe? A lot of us just assume it is. We see those beautiful open fields and we think, yeah, they'll be here forever. But the legal reality? Well, it's often a lot more fragile than you'd think.
And this gets us right to the heart of the matter. There's this really common belief that certain tax laws, specifically a program called PA 490, act like the ultimate shield for our farms. But the reality is, that land is still incredibly vulnerable. Let's break down exactly why that is.
Okay, so let's dive headfirst into this common misconception. We're going to do a little myth-busting here and get to the truth about this very common protection tool and why it's not the permanent fix so many people think it is.
So what is this PA 490 thing anyway? It's pretty simple, really. It's a state law that gives farmers a much-needed break on their property taxes. But, and this is the absolute crucial point, it is only a tax classification. That's it. It's a financial tool, not a preservation one.
So here's the bottom line. Because it's just a tax status, PA 490 does not create a permanent legal wall around that farmland. And what that means is, from a state or a regional planning perspective, that land can still be seen as totally available for large-scale development.
But don't worry, it's not all bad news. There is a very powerful solution. Let's talk about how to build real, lasting security using something called a protection layer. And trust me, this is where things get really interesting.
I love this quote because it's such a powerful reminder that local communities have real agency here. You are not powerless against the development pressures that threaten the farms that, define your town's character and put food on our tables.
So what exactly are these protection layers? Think of them like a legal ironclad promise, things like conservation easements, that are permanently attached to the land's deed. It doesn't matter who owns the property, that promise stays forever. And this is what truly and legally takes a farm off the table and removes it from those developable land inventories.
So how do you actually create these protection layers?
Well, the great news is your town very likely already has a whole legal toolkit to get it done. Let's walk through the 4 essential tools you can start using right now.
We're going to look at the 4 main pillars for building that legal fortress. And each one of these plays a really unique and absolutely essential role in creating that permanent protection for your town's farms.
First up, tool number 1, your town's agricultural commission. You can think of this group as the front door to the whole permanent protection process. If you want to protect farms, this is ground zero. This is where the work really begins.
And the Ag Commission has real power. First, their job is to identify the farms that are most important to your community. The ones that are vital for local food and heritage. Then, they're the ones who kickstart the whole legal process by officially recommending these farms for permanent preservation and getting all the legal agreements coordinated.
All right, next up is a tool that's been called the strongest legal shield a town has, the Conservation and Wetlands Commission. And what's amazing is its power comes from a surprisingly simple action.
Here's why it's so incredibly strong. When the commission simply maps a farm's natural features, like its wetlands or its streams or floodplains, state law often automatically kicks in and excludes those areas from being counted as developable land. It's like a built-in protection that can immediately and permanently shrink a property's development potential just by mapping it.
Our third tool is the actual legal mortar that holds our fortress together, recorded easements and restrictions. These are the documents, the paperwork, that truly lock in that protection for generations and generations to come.
And here's a super crucial distinction. These restrictions are tied to the land, not the owner. It doesn't matter who owns the farm in the future, the protection stays. Once these easements are recorded, they can block rezoning and literally prevent the land from being classified as available for housing by any state-level planning formula.
And finally, we have tool number 4, the Plan of Conservation and Development, or what's usually called the POCD. Think of this as your town's official legal blueprint for the future. And believe me, what's written in here has real legal weight.
A town can literally write its commitment to farming directly into its legal DNA by adopting policies like no net loss of farmland or creating special agricultural zones. It creates a powerful legal basis to block unwanted future development long before it's ever even proposed.
So we've gone through the 4 main tools.
Now let's bring it all together and get back to that simple truth of how to build the fortress that we were talking about right at the beginning.
It really just boils down to this. PA 490 lowers taxes, which helps farmers financially, but protection layers are what actually preserve the farms. One helps the wallet, the other builds the fortress.
And when a town uses these tools to build up those protection layers, its farmland just isn't vulnerable anymore. It becomes legally insulated, almost like it's wrapped in bubble wrap from those regional or state-level systems that might otherwise just see it as empty space waiting to be developed.
So this brings us to the final part. What can you do right now? Well, here is a clear, step-by-step plan of action that your community can take.
It's a 4-step summary of everything we've just talked about. Step 1. Start with your Ag Commission and get the ball rolling. 2. Strengthen your conservation protections to build that legal shield. 3. Work to get those permanent easements recorded. And finally, Step 4. Lock all those protections into your town's official plan, the POCD.
And really, that's the endgame. This is not a temporary fix. It's a permanent one. Because once a farm is legally removed from those development inventories, it stays protected, for good. So the final question isn't whether your town can build its fortress, it's whether it will.